Dex Blackwood's fingers traced the thin scar along his jawline as he watched the crystalline being adjust the atmospheric regulators in his compound's main chamber. Lyria Vethry moved with an otherworldly grace, her translucent skin catching the artificial sunlight and fracturing it into rainbow patterns across the walls. Like all Astrians, her humanoid form seemed carved from living crystal, with angles too perfect to be natural and movements too fluid to be mechanical. "The oxygen levels are stabilized now, Mr. Blackwood," she said, her voice carrying the characteristic chiming undertone of her species. "Though I noticed some unusual fluctuations in the nitrogen cycle." Dex nodded, maintaining his professional distance. After 15 years in the Galactic Marine Corps and 5 more in private security, he'd learned to appreciate efficiency without getting personally involved. "Thank you, Ms. Vethry. Document the anomalies and forward them to maintenance." She inclined her head, the movement sending ripples of light through her crystalline hair. "Of course, sir." But she didn't leave immediately, her iridescent eyes studying him with an intensity that made him uncomfortable. "There's something else." "Yes." The compound's deep scanners picked up unusual energy signatures last night. "They match patterns I've seen before, during the fall of Astrea Prime." Dex's cybernetic eye whirred as it automatically focused on her face, analyzing her expression. Among her kind, emotion showed through subtle changes in their internal light patterns rather than facial movements. Right now, she was radiating concern, though she maintained the professional composure expected of support staff. "Show me," he said, following her to the monitoring station. The holographic display came to life, showing energy wavelengths that pulsed with an eerie rhythm. Something about them made his combat implants tingle, a warning sign he'd learned never to ignore. "These signatures are associated with quantum phase weapons," Lyria explained, her fingers dancing through the hologram. "They were banned after the Consortium Wars, but some still exist on the black market. The fact that they're showing up here could be coincidence," Dex interrupted, though he didn't believe it. Nothing was ever coincidence in his line of work. "How would you recognize military-grade weapon signatures?" A flicker of deep blue passed through her crystalline form, sadness, or perhaps regret. "Before coming to Earth, I wasn't just an environmental specialist. I was part of Astrea's Defense Corps, specializing in weapons detection. When our world fell to the corporate armies, that knowledge became inconvenient." Dex studied her more carefully now. He'd known she was a refugee, but her file hadn't mentioned military service. Then again, most Astrian military records were lost or deliberately destroyed after their defeat. Many survivors took whatever jobs they could find on Earth, hiding their true capabilities to avoid persecution. "Why tell me this now?" he asked, his cybernetic eye scanning for signs of deception. "Because," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper, "these energy signatures suggest someone is preparing for an attack. And given your unique collection of artifacts from the Consortium Wars, I believe you may be the target." Dex's hand instinctively went to the secure storage unit behind his office wall. Inside was a collection of mysterious tech he'd recovered during his final mission with the Marines, the same mission that had cost him his natural eye and left him with nightmares that no sleep suppressant could fully quiet. "How long have you known about my collection?" "Since my first day here. Astrians can sense certain types of energy. Your artifacts, they sing to us, in a way. I've kept quiet because it wasn't my place to pry, but if someone is coming for them, you need to be prepared." Before Dex could respond, the compound security system chimed a soft alert. Lyria's form pulsed with amber light, alarm. Multiple vehicles approaching from the north. Their energy signatures matched the readings from last night. Dex activated his security feeds, counting at least 3 unmarked hovercrafts moving through the evening shadows. "How many guards are on duty tonight?" "Just 2. Jensen and Rodriguez." Not enough, not nearly enough if these were the kind of professionals he suspected they were. He opened his weapons locker, pulling out a pulse rifle and his favorite sidearm. "Get to the safe room. There's a direct link to emergency services there." Lyria didn't move. Instead, her crystalline form shifted, hardening into something more angular, more dangerous. With respect, Mr. Blackwood, you'll have better chances of survival with my help. I wasn't just any defense officer, I was a prismatic guardian. The name sent a chill down his spine. Prismatic guardians were elite Astrian warriors, capable of channeling energy through their crystalline bodies to devastating effect. They were supposed to have all been killed or captured during the fall of their homeworld. Looking at Lyria now, he saw her in a new light. The perfect posture, the careful movements, the way she always seemed to position herself with tactical advantage in any room, it hadn't just been good service training. "All right," he said, tossing her a spare weapon. "But we do this my way. No heroics, no unnecessary risks. We hold them off until backup arrives." She caught the weapon with fluid grace, her form now gleaming like polished armor. "Understood, sir. Though you should know." A small smile crossed her crystalline features. "Heroics are something of a specialty for my kind." The first explosion rocked the compound's outer walls, and Dex saw something he'd never expected: Lyria victories, his quiet environmental specialist, beginning to glow with internal energy that made his combat implants scream warnings. Whatever came next, this night was going to change everything he thought he knew about his mysterious employee. And somewhere in the back of his mind, a voice whispered that maybe, just maybe, he wasn't the only one who'd been hiding from their past in plain sight. The first attacker died in a cascade of prismatic light, their body outlined in rainbow hues before crumpling to the ground. Dex watched in astonishment as Lyria's crystalline form pulsed with power, her movements a deadly dance of light and precision. "3 more coming through the east corridor," she announced, her voice resonating with harmonics that made his combat implants buzz. "They're carrying void shields, standard corporate military gear." Dex pressed his back against the reinforced wall, pulse rifle at ready. "How did you know that without line of sight?" "Energy signatures," she replied, her crystalline body dimming to match the shadows. "Everything leaves a trace if you know how to read it. Including." She paused, her iridescent eyes narrowing. "Including whatever's in your secure storage. It's what they're after, isn't it?" Another explosion rocked the compound, closer this time. Emergency lights strobed red across the polished floors, casting strange shadows through Lyria's translucent form. Dex checked his tactical display. The compound's outer defenses were failing systematically, too precisely to be brute force. "They have our security codes," he growled. "Someone on the inside." "Jensen," Lyria interrupted, her form flickering with amber warning lights. "His energy signature is with the attackers. He's leading them to the vault." Betrayal burned bitter in Dex's throat. He'd vetted Jensen himself, trusted him. But trust was a luxury he couldn't afford right now. "We need to get to the vault first. Whatever's in there, it can't fall into corporate hands." They moved through the compound like ghosts, Lyria's crystalline body adapting to match the ambient light while Dex's combat implants guided him through blind spots. The synchronization of their movements felt natural, despite having never trained together. It reminded him of his old unit, before the disaster on Europa Station. "You move like a marine," he observed as they cleared another junction. "Prismatic guardians trained with human special forces before the fall," she replied. "Your Colonel Harrison taught at our academy." Lyria stopped mid-sentence, her form suddenly rigid. Movement ahead. Multiple signatures, heavily armed. They pressed into an alcove as a squad of black-clad figures moved past, led by Jensen's familiar silhouette. Dex's cybernetic eye captured every detail: corporate-grade stealth suits, quantum phase rifles, and something else that made his artificial lens glitch. "They're carrying crystalline tech," Lyria whispered, her voice tight with anger. "Salvaged from my people's bodies after the fall. They're using our own weapons against us." The revelation hit Dex hard. He'd suspected the corporations had stripped Astria Prime of its technology after the conquest, but this was different. This was desecration. "The artifacts in your vault," Lyria continued, "they're Astrian, aren't they?" Something you recovered during your last mission? Dex nodded slowly. Europa Station. We found a hidden cache, weapons, data cores, something the brass called a quantum matrix. My team was supposed to secure it, but everything went wrong. I'm the only one who made it out. Understanding rippled through Lyria's form in waves of deep blue. The quantum matrix. That's why they sent me here. Not just to hide, but to protect it. Who sent you? The Prismatic Council in exile. They've been tracking these artifacts since the fall, trying to keep them from corporate hands. When they discovered one was here. She met his gaze, her crystalline features softening. I was supposed to find a way to steal it. But then I saw how you guarded it, learned about what happened to your team. You weren't just another corporate puppet, you were protecting it too. Another explosion rocked the compound, closer to the vault. Alarms blared as security systems began to fail. They were running out of time. Whatever's in that matrix, Dex said, checking his weapon, Jensen and his corporate friends can't have it. But after this is over, we need to talk about trust. A small smile flickered across Lyria's features. Says the man who hired a refugee without checking her full background. Touché. They moved toward the vault, falling into natural combat positions. Ahead, they could hear Jensen's team working on the reinforced doors. Dex's tactical display showed 12 hostiles, all armed with advanced weapons. I can create a prismatic barrier, Lyria offered, her form beginning to glow with internal energy. It won't last long against their phase rifles, but it might give us an advantage. Dex studied the corridor layout, his combat implants calculating angles and positions. If we time this right, we can use the security system's failsafe against them. When the power cuts, the emergency generators will create a feedback pulse, Lyria finished. Combined with my barrier. Her eyes met his, glowing with fierce determination. It could work. They had seconds to prepare. Dex could hear the vault's locks disengaging, could see Jensen's team readying their breach formation. But for the first time since Europa Station, he didn't feel alone in the fight. Ready? He asked, though he already knew the answer. Lyria's form blazed with internal light, her crystalline structure realigning into combat configuration. Ready. And Dex. She paused, her voice carrying an emotion he couldn't quite identify. Whatever happens, I'm glad you know the truth now. The vault doors began to open, and Dex allowed himself a grim smile. Let's show these corporate bastards what happens when they underestimate both of us. Together, they stepped into the corridor, light and shadow, crystal and steel, united in purpose. The truth about the quantum matrix could wait. Right now, they had a battle to win, and secrets to protect. Blood trickled down Dex's temple as he guided their stolen hovercraft through the night sky. Beside him, Lyria's crystalline form pulsed with dim light, her energy depleted from the battle. The quantum matrix, secured in a shielded case between them, hummed with a frequency that made his cybernetic eye twitch. Take the next descent vector, Lyria said, her voice weaker than he'd ever heard it. There's a safe house in the abandoned mining district. Corporate sensors can't penetrate the mineral deposits there. The fight at the compound had been brutal. Lyria's prismatic barrier, combined with the security system's feedback pulse, had taken down half of Jensen's team. But the corporate forces had been prepared for resistance, their phase rifles eventually breaking through. If Lyria hadn't absorbed the final blast meant for him. You need energy, he said, noting how her usually brilliant form had dulled to almost translucent. Your people, they can recharge somehow, right? A weak chime of laughter escaped her. Worried about me, Mr. Blackwood? That's new. She shifted slightly, crystalline joints grinding. But yes. Sunlight, primarily. Or. She glanced at the matrix case. Certain types of quantum energy. Dex frowned. The matrix could help you heal. It could. But using it would make us detectable. The energy signature. Would be like lighting a beacon, he finished. Damn. They landed in a narrow canyon, the abandoned mining facilities rising around them like ancient monoliths. Dex helped Lyria from the craft, supporting her weight as they made their way to a hidden entrance. Her crystalline body felt cooler than usual against his skin. Inside, the safe house was sparse but secure. Dex activated the shielding systems while Lyria collapsed onto a simple cot, her form flickering like a dying light. "We need to talk about what happened," she said as he checked her for damage. "About Jensen, the corporations, and what's really in that matrix." Dex set his weapons aside but kept them within reach. "I'm listening. The quantum matrix isn't just a weapon or data storage. It's..." She paused, gathering strength. "It's a key. To something the corporations have been searching for since they first discovered our world. Something my people died protecting." "What kind of key?" "To our Genesis engine." Her iridescent eyes met his. "The source of our crystalline evolution. The corporations didn't just want our technology or our resources. They wanted to understand how we were created, how organic matter could be transformed into living crystal." The implications hit Dex hard. Human enhancement. They want to create soldiers like your kind. Better than us. More controllable. Imagine corporate armies of crystalline warriors, but without free will. Without conscience. She shuddered, sending ripples of weak light through her form. "The matrix contains the location of the Genesis engine and the codes to activate it." Dex ran his fingers over the case. "That's what they were really after on Europa Station. My team, we never knew what we were really protecting." The Prismatic Council hid pieces of the puzzle across the galaxy. Your Europa Station cache was one of the last remaining fragments. When we learned it was in private security hands. She tried to sit up but faltered. Dex caught her, supporting her crystalline frame. "Easy. Save your strength." "Can't. Corporate forces will have called for reinforcements. We need to move the matrix before." The safe house's proximity alerts chimed softly. Dex's combat implants registered multiple approaching signatures. "How?" Lyria demanded. "This place is shielded." A new voice answered from the shadows. "Because I led them here." Commander Rafe stepped into view, his corporate military uniform pristine. Dex's former superior officer, the man who'd sent his team to Europa Station, smiled coldly. "Did you really think Jensen was the only insider, Blackwood? I've been guiding this operation from the start. Ever since you survived Europa Station with the Matrix fragment." Dex's cybernetic I-word as combat protocols engaged. "You sacrificed my entire team. For the greater good. Humanity's evolution can't be stopped by alien sentimentality." Rafe's gaze shifted to Lyria. "Though I must thank you, Vithry. Your presence here confirmed everything we suspected about the Matrix's true nature." More corporate soldiers emerged from hidden positions. Dex counted 8, all armed with crystalline tech weapons. In her weakened state, Lyria couldn't create another barrier. And his combat implants were reporting critical damage from their earlier fight. But as he felt Lyria's crystalline hand grasp his, something changed. Energy coursed between them, his cybernetic system synchronizing with her quantum frequency. His artificial eye captured impossible data as their bioelectric fields merged. "Dex," she whispered, her voice carrying harmonic undertones that made his implants sing. "Do you trust me?" He squeezed her hand in response. After everything, after all the lies and revelations, he realized he did trust her. Completely. Lyria's form began to glow, not with her usual light, but with something deeper. The quantum matrix in its case pulsed in response. Rafe's eyes widened as he realized what was happening. "Stop them," he commanded. "Don't let them." But it was too late. As corporate weapons fired and the air filled with quantum phase energy, Dex felt himself becoming something new. Something neither human nor Astrian, but a bridge between worlds. The safe house erupted with prismatic light, and the real war for humanity's future began. The transformation burned through Dex like liquid starlight. His cybernetic implants fused with crystalline structures that sprouted from his organic tissue, creating something unprecedented, a hybrid of human technology and Astrian biology. Beside him, Lyria's form had evolved as well, her crystalline structure now interwoven with threads of metallic enhancement. They moved as one through the chaos of the safe house, their merged consciousness processing combat data at impossible speeds. Corporate soldiers fell before their combined might, Dex's tactical expertise enhanced by Astrian power, Lyria's crystalline abilities amplified by human technology. Impossible, Rafe snarled, emptying his phase rifle at them. The shots diffracted harmlessly through their merged energy field. This wasn't supposed to happen. The Matrix was meant to transform humans, not this. You never understood, Lyria's voice resonated through their shared consciousness. The Genesis engine wasn't created to dominate. It was made to unite. Through their connection, Dex saw flashes of Astrian history, not just the fall of their world, but its beginning. The Genesis engine hadn't been a weapon, but a gift from ancient beings who believed in evolution through harmony rather than conquest. The corporations will never stop, Rafe warned, backing away as his soldiers fell. They'll hunt you across the galaxy. This power, it belongs to humanity. Dex felt Lyria's emotions surge through their bond, not anger, but profound sadness. It belongs to everyone willing to share it, she said. That's what your masters never understood. Their merged form advanced on Rafe, crystalline structures and cybernetic enhancements working in perfect synchronization. The commander raised his weapon one final time, but froze as Dex accessed his cybernetic systems remotely, shutting down his neural interfaces. Europa Station, Dex said, his voice carrying crystalline harmonics. My team. They died for your lies. Through their connection, Lyria shared his grief, his rage. But she also shared something else, understanding. Justice, not vengeance, would honor the fallen. Rafe collapsed as his cybernetic systems went dark, defeated but alive. Around them, the safe house had become a battlefield of fallen corporate soldiers, none dead but all incapacitated by their combined powers. As the immediate danger passed, Dex felt their merged consciousness begin to separate naturally, like two stars completing their dance. The crystalline structures receded from his organic tissue, leaving only traces of their connection. Lyria's form stabilized as well, though something had fundamentally changed in both of them. The quantum matrix, she said, examining their altered forms. It didn't just merge our bodies. It showed us what's possible when barriers fall away. When we stop fearing difference. Dex flexed his hand, watching as faint crystalline patterns shifted beneath his skin. His cybernetic eye now processed data with Astrian clarity, while Lyria's crystalline form bore elegant technological enhancements that seemed natural rather than artificial. They'll send more forces, he said, securing Rafe with containment fields. The whole corporate military structure will be after us now. Lyria approached him, her transformed crystalline hand intertwining with his hybrid fingers. The touch sent echoes of their merged consciousness through both of them, not full integration, but a lasting connection. Then we'll need allies, she said. There are others like us, Dex. Humans and Astrians who believe in cooperation rather than conquest. The Prismatic Council isn't just in exile, it's building a resistance. And the Genesis engine? Now that the Matrix has transformed us, we can find it. Protect it. Her iridescent eyes met his, both organic and cybernetic. Show the galaxy what humanity and Astrians can become together. Dex pulled her closer, their transformed bodies resonating with shared energy. The kiss, when it came, felt like touching a star, human warmth meeting crystalline light, creating something entirely new. Together, he agreed as they parted. But first, we need to get off-world. Corporate forces will have the entire mining district surrounded by now. Lyria smiled, her enhanced form glowing with renewed power. Actually, I have an idea about that. How do you feel about stealing a corporate flagship? For the first time since Europa Station, Dex felt truly alive. Not just as a soldier or a survivor, but as something more, something evolved through trust, sacrifice, and a love that transcended species. Lead the way, he said, gathering their weapons as proximity alerts began to sound. We've got a galaxy to change. Around them, the quantum matrix hummed with possibility, its power no longer confined to a case but flowing through their transformed bodies. The real question wasn't whether they could escape the corporate forces closing in. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for what they would become. The corporate flagship, Stellar Dawn, hung in low orbit like a predatory creature, its weapon systems tracking their stolen shuttle as it approached. Through their residual connection, Dex felt Lyria's concentration as she channeled energy through the shuttle's systems, masking their hybrid signatures. Security protocols accepting our codes, she announced, her enhanced crystalline form gleaming with technological patterns. Rafe's neural data is still valid. They don't know he's compromised. Dex guided the shuttle toward the main hangar, his transformed cybernetic systems interfacing seamlessly with the controls. How long until they realize? Long enough. The hangar's atmospheric shields parted for them, and they landed among rows of corporate strike craft. Armed guards approached their shuttle, expecting Commander Rafe's scheduled inspection. Instead, they found something unprecedented. The battle was brief but decisive. Their hybrid abilities worked in perfect concert, Dex's combat expertise enhanced by crystalline power, Lyria's Astrian energy wielded with military precision. Within minutes, they secured the hangar without a single casualty. Bridge is 20 levels up, Dex said, accessing the ship's schematics through his enhanced cybernetic eye. If we can reach it. Multiple signatures approaching, Lyria interrupted, her crystalline senses detecting movement. They know we're here. Through the ship's intercom, a familiar voice echoed, "This is Corporate Admiral Thane to all hands. 2 hybrid intruders have breached our defenses. They are to be taken alive. The Genesis protocol must be preserved." Lyria's form pulsed with recognition. Thane. She led the final assault on Astria Prime. Then she'll recognize this, Dex said, placing his hand on a nearby console. His hybrid biology interfaced with the ship's systems, crystalline energy merging with digital networks. Alarms blared as sections of the flagship began shutting down. They fought their way upward through the vessel, their transformed abilities growing stronger with each engagement. Corporate soldiers fell before them, disabled but alive, a message to their masters that evolution didn't require destruction. On the bridge, Admiral Thane waited with an elite guard unit. Unlike the others, she showed no fear at their hybrid appearance. Fascinating, she said, studying their transformed forms. The Matrix didn't just unlock the Genesis engine's location. It provided a proof of concept. She stepped forward, her cybernetic augmentations humming. Join us. Help humanity ascend properly, under corporate guidance. You mean corporate control, Lyria replied, her voice carrying both chiming harmonics and digital undertones. You don't want evolution. You want weapons. I want survival. Thane's composure cracked. Humanity can't compete with species like yours, unless we adapt. The corporations understand this. Why do you think we sought the Genesis engine in the first place? Dex felt Lyria's emotions through their bond, not contempt, but compassion. You never asked for cooperation, she said softly. Never considered that adaptation could come through harmony instead of force. Prove it, Thane challenged. If your way is better, prove it now. Dex and Lyria exchanged glances, a silent understanding passing between them. Together, they extended their hands, offering connection instead of combat. See what we've become, Dex said. Not human, not Astrian, but something new. Something chosen, not forced. Their hybrid energy reached out, touching Thane's cybernetic systems. Her eyes widened as she experienced their shared consciousness, felt the potential of willing transformation. The elite guards lowered their weapons as their admiral stumbled back, forever changed by what she'd witnessed. This isn't what we expected. Evolution never is, Lyria said, moving to the bridge controls. Now, you have a choice. Help us protect the Genesis engine from those who would abuse it, or stand aside. Thane looked at her guards, then back at the hybrid beings before her. The corporations will brand me a traitor. They'll brand all of us traitors, Dex replied. Until we show them a better way. As the flagship broke orbit, its course set for hidden prismatic council coordinates, Dex and Lyria stood together at the helm. Through viewport, Earth diminished behind them while endless stars beckoned ahead. You know there's no going back, he said, feeling the quantum matrix's energy flowing through their transformed bodies. Once we find the Genesis engine. The galaxy changes forever, she finished, her crystalline hand clasping his hybrid one. But we'll face it together. Human determination. And Astrian light, he completed. Their forms resonated with shared power as the flagship jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, Admiral Thane began coordinating with resistance contacts, her loyalty transformed by understanding rather than force. Ahead lay the Genesis engine and a future where evolution meant unity, not conquest. In the end, it hadn't been about weapons or power. It had been about trust, about two beings from different worlds proving that the greatest transformation comes not through dominance, but through love. As Dex and Lyria guided their ship toward destiny, their hybrid forms glowing with combined energy, they carried with them a truth more powerful than any corporate army, the understanding that real change begins not with force, but with an open heart. The stars streaked past, each one a promise of what humanity and Astrians could become together. Not through corporate manipulation or military might, but through the simple, revolutionary act of choosing to evolve as one. Dawn was breaking across the galaxy, and its light was crystalline.